good. But our approach to the whole topic was a little bit different. We really didn't go into convince them one way or another about valuation. We really were focused on mindset. So, what we would communicate, we felt as a group to a potential seller, is that any valuation is going to have a deal structure to it. It has to be reasonable. It has to be market based, and that's what they're going to depend on us for. And we need to establish ourselves as being credible, and we have to establish ourselves as an expert. And they have to recognize that the premium values are going to be based on some earnouts, and maybe explain to them how some deal structure issues might work. But in the end, it's really about understanding that they have to take our lead in terms of the market, and how even at this level, we may not have all of the information that we need, and we certainly don't know who the buyer is going to be, and they're going to have a different perspective. But the real question for us, if that question came up, is not necessarily what the facts of the matter is, but do we have a seller who's reasonable, who's going to be coachable, who's going to listen to us?
Yeah.
And that really becomes the bigger issue, because we don't really know what's behind door number 2. We don't know if COVID is going to hit again during the time of our engagement. So it's I don't know if anybody else has something to add, Orlando or Max or Ashley or Paul.
Yeah, that was it. Instead of going the mechanical approach, because on the first call, you have limited information. So doing the mechanical exercise is, I think from my perspective, and Susan, I think Paul's, it's almost fruitless, right? So you have to kind of gauge motivation. Are they really looking to sell? Are they looking to do something else, right? So it kind of starts there. Without that, you really don't know what you're trying to do for them and trying to help them. And then secondly, in terms of positioning yourself as an expert, whatever role you are, whatever role you have, trying to express from your perspective, your expertise, but also your motivation to save them from themselves sometimes, right? Because if they're going to talk to M&T and do the 10X approach, as Steve mentioned, or you're trying to come at a 6 time, it just doesn't make sense to them. So you have to somehow relay that. And for us as M&A advisors, we're tasked with actually selling it, actually completing, getting the goal done. If your real goal is exiting, then from our perspective, we just had a little bit of an advantage of that, because, again, like, it was very interesting. Sean mentioned, from his, everyone really did talk from their perspective. So I thought that was really interesting. But for us, again, we just started with the, I don't want to belabor it, but, we started with that really, the mindset, their motivation, around the sale.